Hi there, welcome back. How are you today? So in this beautiful video, we wanted to talk about how precious your energy is and how important it is for you to be aware of where it is that you are placing your beautiful energy. Now, what was coming up that this was the message for this video is that, just going back to when I came back from my trip to South America the last time I went to visit my parents. And I came back with this sadness, that it was over between my parents and I. I could feel that something had shifted and that they were, no longer wanting to have any communication with me. I could feel it because I've been observing this pattern within them their whole lives, So I knew as soon as I came back that was it for them, They didn't want anything to do with me. And when I came back, I kept having this image, this vision in my mind of never seeing my mum again, never seeing my parents again, that this was going to be the relationship that we were going to have for the rest of this lifetime. I kept having that vision in the beginning, and that would fill me with sadness. And I think that sadness was more I was feeling from them. I guess both, because it made me sad to think that, I'm never going to see them again because they don't want me. They don't want to see me again. They don't want me in their life. And this beautiful week in a coaching session, and I have so much gratitude for this gorgeous being that is allowing me to play with her, because so much comes up for me, as we're doing these gorgeous sessions. People seem to think that, it's about them, but I receive as much as I give in the sessions. It's always a two-way street, always, in everything. All of these beautiful videos, in everything that I put out into the world, I'm always receiving, always, energetically. So what was coming through as we were having this gorgeous conversation in our coaching session this week is that our energy is precious. And if we keep seeing those beings as broken, as faulty, as, as in full of faults, when I say faulty, if we keep seeing these beings as the way we don't want to see them, I guess is where I'm going with it. If you're in a relationship, let's say with your sibling, and it's not a good relationship, you don't get on well, for example, right? Let's just use that as an example. And you keep seeing in your mind this relationship that just doesn't work. It's just not, you're like chalk and cheese. You're not on the same frequency, and you keep seeing your sibling in that state, in that place. You are holding them there with that vision. Because what we see in here, what we visualize is what we bring into reality. When you understand this fully, that everything that you have created so far, you've seen it here first, and then it's manifested. Whether you like it or you don't like it. For me, for a very long time, I was manifesting things that I didn't like. Why? Because I was focusing on the things that I didn't like. I was focusing on the things that I didn't want. And the more I focused on what I didn't want, guess what? The more I got of that. Towards the end of last week, my car broke down. It needs a new alternator. But even so, it still got me to the jobs I needed to get to. And it still was kind enough to get me to the mechanic, before I just thought, okay, I've got to leave you now. They're going to fix you. This car is now nearly 20 years old. And I was getting so, not sad, but I was feeling teary, as I was dropping it off. And I was saying to my beautiful car, I'm so sorry that I didn't take better care of you, that I didn't appreciate you as much as I should have. Because as I was dropping off my beautiful car, I was flooded with all the gorgeous memories that I've had with this car. You know, the first trip home from the hospital with my daughter was in that car. My first trip to the snow with my daughter, which was my first trip and her first trip, I'd never seen snow before, was in that car. We've had so many beautiful memories created with that car, you know. So many visits to beautiful water parks with my daughter. She loved playing in the water. Going to the swimming pool. You know, I could go on forever. Trips that we've done to Adelaide to visit, you know, my husband's dad, my daughter's granddad. You know, we've done 3 beautiful trips down there with her. So as I was dropping it off, it was the first time for me that I was feeling it wasn't a separate thing. You know, up until now, I've always seen material things as like they're separate or they're not living. It was the first time I was feeling the energy of this car. I was feeling spirit in the car. That it is all spirit, you know, and that this car has served me all this time, you know, with all these gorgeous memories. And, you know, anyway, so I promised I was going to take better care of it. But, you know, towards the end, as I was dropping it off to the mechanic, the reality is this car is 20 years old, you know, and I need to be looking at buying the next car. You know, I was going to say a new car, but we never buy new here. We always buy a second-hand car that's 4 or 5 years old and, you know, in good condition. And so, you know, I was starting to look at new cars, and that made me even more teary, you know, that I have to let this car go. And it was the first time that I felt a connection to something that's doesn't feel like it's living, a living entity. But for me, in that moment when I dropped it off to the mechanic, it felt alive. It was full of my memories. It was a part of me. I can't explain it. I just had this moment, you know, that everything is spirit, including that beautiful car. And of course, we beat ourselves up. You know, I should have treated you better. I should have taken better care of you. I should have, you know, I've always treated it as a thing, as it's separate from me, you know, rather than giving gratitude for everything it has given me, you know. Being thankful. It's always run. It's been an incredible car. You know, before that, it's funny, yesterday, you know, it's funny the things, how they happen. Because just yesterday I was going to work and I had to borrow my mum's car, my mother-in-law, you know, she's here, and she lends me her car to go to work yesterday. And I'm in her car and I'm driving to work. And all along the way, as I'm getting to work, I was remembering all the lemons we had before this car. This one and the previous. You know, when I first got together with my husband, the first car we had was constantly breaking down, constantly, because of the frequency we were in. You know, that it's all crap, and it's all crap, and now we're looking at it, it's all crap. Life is crap, it's all crap, you know. And we can't afford a good car. We have to buy this lemon, you know, that's only a couple $1,000 and it's like 50 years old and it's breaking down every 5 minutes. And so in the end, the car, because it's breaking down every 5 minutes, costs more than if we'd have got something better in the first place, you know. But these are lessons that we learn, you know, as you go along. So the first car was a lemon. It kept breaking down. The second car, another lemon, you know. It felt like we were just magnets for car lemons, you know. These cars are just, we're going to break down every 5 minutes. Anyway, eventually we got, I think, 4 cars later with my husband. He decided for his work, he was in real estate at the time, and for his work he would get an allowance for a car. So he needed to get a car, otherwise he would have to pay more in tax because he wasn't using that allowance that he was given. So we ended up getting a loan, and he ended up getting a car. We bought this beautiful Holden Commodore SS that he loved. And so there was the difference. It was the first time that we bought a car that he loved. He just loved this car. He loved everything about it. We bought it. He'd done all the research on the type of car that he wanted, you know, for work, the type of car he wanted to have. And it was the first time we didn't choose the car because, oh, this is all we can afford, $500 or $1,000 or whatever we had at the time. Money wasn't the choosing factor for the first time in this, you know, buying this car. We chose the car because we loved the car and we got finance to pay off that car, you know. That finance covered his car allowance. So every year, if we were paying $5,000 towards his car, that was $5,000 that he was given through work anyway as a car allowance. So we were using that to pay off the car, if that makes sense to anybody. But it was the first time we actually bought a car that we loved. And so notice the word love. When you love something. With that car, we never had a problem. It never broke down. The only issue with that car was that it was really low, and so it would always bump, you know, on the gutters and going up and down, you know, ramps and things because it was so low. It was built that way. And then from there, we exchanged and got the car that we have now. And like I said, this car, we got it in 2006. Next year is going to be 20 years that we've had this car. And I have loved this car. Again, we chose this car. It was for his work. So we didn't choose it because, oh, this is the only money we have to buy it, you know. This is all we have. This is all we can afford. We bought it because it was going through his car allowance at work. He'd already paid off the other one. And so it was time to upgrade. And he was done with the car always bumping on the bottom, you know, when he's trying to go up things. And this car being so low was just that hassle. So apart from that, it was perfect. We never had a problem with it. And with the one that we have now, we've hardly had any issues with it. It has been perfect. And to top it off with this car that we have now, three times in all these years that I've had it, it's been dinged, right? Someone will go past and they'll bump into it, or I haven't been in the car when it's been dinged every time. But I found a letter under the windscreen wiper to say, oh, look, I'm so sorry. These are my details. Get in touch. And so we sort out the insurance and it gets paid for 3 times, you know. So it's all these little things that when we start to notice them, that the shift can happen. The shift. There was an F in there, by the way, for those of you who missed it, because shit does happen sometimes, you know. But no, the shift is the word that we're after here. When you love something, when you buy something because you love it, your relationship with it, your energy with it is so different. You know, there was anger within us originally because we had to buy these cars and that's all we could afford, you know, at the time. And so there's this anger that, oh, we can't buy something better, you know. But in the end, when you think about it, and you're constantly having to go to the mechanics to fix it for this and that and the other, it adds up. And you end up paying more than if you'd have just got what you wanted in the first place, you know. So love is the answer. Love changes everything. And with this beautiful story, what was coming through is that these beings in your life that are serving you with their experience, the ones that we want to fix because they're alcoholics, the ones we want to fix because they're drug addicts, the ones we want to fix because they're just on self-destruct constantly, you know, the ones that we feel are broken, we want to fix them because they're broken. These beautiful beings are serving you. We don't know what their path is. We don't know what their soul wants to experience in this lifetime. So you cannot know within you. You cannot know. Even if you're a psychic and you for one moment get information for that being, you don't have their whole blueprint in front of you. You only have yours. You only have the information for your journey, for your path. You don't have their whole map. Even if it's your partner and you love them with all your heart and they're self-destructive, you do not have their map. You do not know why that soul chose to have that experience. What it is that soul is looking to gain from that beautiful experience. You only have the information for your path. So the only control that you have, and we're going to go over this in the next video, why we need to control anything, because it's a big one for many people. And for me, control was a big one, you know, up until recently, past few months. And I still find myself, I catch myself sometimes trying to control things, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't need to do that anymore. But the only control you have is to hold the vision for that person. If you keep seeing them as broken, guess what? They're going to keep showing up as broken. Just like the lemons that we kept buying in the beginning. Those cars that were absolute lemons. We were expecting them to break down. We were expecting them to not work properly. That was what we stepped into because we couldn't afford anything better. Perhaps at the time the belief was we weren't worthy. We didn't deserve to have anything better. I know at that point in my life, my unworthiness was at an all-time high. I was super unworthy of everything that life had to offer. But I never stopped looking for answers. When I was little, I used to love reading fiction. And when I became an adult, I started reading every single book that I could find that was about self-help, that was about the soul, that was about discovering who you really are. You know, my adult years, I just read and read and read so many books, from Eckhart Tolle to Louise Hay to Conversations with God, the Neil Donald Walsh books. I'm just looking because they're all sitting over there, my beautiful books. So many books. I've read so many books. And when I started writing, I realized I don't need to read anymore. The information is here. And new information comes in every day because I express myself differently. And so the words are going to be different, and the phrasing. And I love using analogies that people can see it, you know, as like the cars being lemons. You know, because we didn't believe that we deserved anything better. We weren't worthy of anything better at the time. At the time. A lot has changed since then. So, my beautiful beings, the way forward is to hold the vision. You know, with my mum now that I know the power that is within us, the power that our energy has, I see her every day in my mind, and I see her happy. And I see her with my dad, and my dad is happy. And they're singing, they've got their music on, because I used to love singing. Even when I went to visit them, they always had music on. They were always singing to the music while they're cooking, while they're cleaning, while they're doing whatever they're doing. I see them like that, and I see them surrounded by light, so full of light, wherever they are. Same for my sister. I see her happy, whatever it is she's doing with her girls, with her husband, her friends. I see her surrounded by love. I see her full of light and joy and peace. The key, my beautiful beings, is to see your loved ones already whole, already complete, because they are. They aren't broken. There is nothing to fix. There is nothing to heal. It is just a soul having a human experience. And when you understand that, you can let go of that control. You can let go of it. But in this video, what we wanted to bring through was for you to focus on how you want it to look. Because we're taught from so little to keep focusing on what we don't have, to keep focusing on what we don't want. These are the experiences we came to have. And so we keep creating experiences that we don't like, experiences that we don't want, because that's what we're focusing on. It's not about being delusional. Your siblings, your parents, whoever the loved one is, in the infinite possibilities, there is a version of them that is already free of all of that. That is living in the highest frequency. It already exists. Whether their soul is here to have that experience in this lifetime is up to them. But that version of them that is free, that is at peace, that is full of joy and is the highest frequency of love already exists. The same as it already exists for you, my beautiful beings. You are whole. You are complete. There is nothing missing. You are the highest frequency of love. You are peace. You are joy. You are just experiencing all the things that you are not in this lifetime. But you never stop being what you are. Just because you're having a human experience. You are still the beautiful universal life force energy. You are still the love and the light. You are still made of the same as the stars and the sun. Know this in your heart. We are all made of the same. Every single one of us. We are all given the same. Let's talk more about this in the next one. All right, my beautiful beings. I love you dearly. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.